Direction le PNQ avec Priscilla Sadien et Patrick Hilbert. Bonjour Priscilla, bonjour Patrick.
Bonjour à tous. Merci, vous pouvez rejoindre nous pour la séance de la PNQ. À mes côtés, Patrick Hilbert, bonjour.
Bonjour Priscilla, bonjour à tous les auditeurs et auditrices.
PNQ, leader de l'opposition, concerne un incident qui finit arrivé jeudi dernier à la prison de Melrose. Joe Lejonga, qui questionne Premier ministre Navin Ramgoolam, l'envie connaît si commissaire à prison ou commissaire à police, fin ouvert une enquête qui nature de ce incident-là, non prisonnier, officier de police et garde prison qui fin blessé. Joe Lejonga aussi, vous les connaissez, si National Human Rights Commission peut enquêter et si c'est le cas, si Navin Ramgoolam fin gagne un rapport préliminaire ou final de l'institution, Patrick.
Nous rappelle Priscilla que jeudi dernier, il y a un incident à la prison de Melrose, que tu une allégation à l'effet qu'il y a un prisonnier fin subir une violence et que le même jour, il y a un prisonnier qui t'y met pendu là-bas. Samedi matin, c'est une famille finale devant prison parce qu'ils étaient inquiets. Un peu plus tard, Touya Prayag, membre de la National Human Rights Commission, finale sur place pour visiter un prisonnier qui t'y dit qu'ils ont fin subir un acte de violence. Et le commissaire de prison, dans une déclaration défi quotidien, dit qu'il un prisonnier fin la guerre en eux et qui à aucun moment finira l'intervention de man SMF dans l'enceinte de la prison. Selon Dave Joku, finira un mouvement de contestation parmi les prisonniers et sa situation relève de une tension interne parmi les prisonniers.
Alors nous pourrons suivre tout de suite cette PNQ de Joe Lejonga.
Address to Dr. the Honorable Prime Minister, Minister of Defense, Home Affairs and External Communications, Minister of Finance, Minister for Rodrigues and Outer Islands. Whether in regard to the incidents which occurred at the Melrose High Security Prison on 17th July 2025, we will, for the benefit of the House, obtain from the Commissioner of Prisons police information as to if an inquiry has been carried out thereinto, and if so, indicate the one, nature of the incidents, and two, number of prisoners and police or prison officers injured therein, and B, National Human Rights Commission information as to whether the Commission has carried out an inquiry thereinto, and if so, indicate whether he has received any preliminary or report or final report from the above name. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yes, Prime Minister.
Yes, Madam Speaker. First of all, respect for human rights, we all know, is the bedrock of any civilized society. And I want to make it clear that under no circumstances whatsoever will this government allow any violation of human rights in our country. We have seen far too many gross abuses in the recent past. My government will always uphold the sanctity of human rights and dignity of our citizens. The Mauritius Prison Service plays a crucial role in ensuring the safe custody, rehabilitation, and reintegration of detainees into the society. The service is committed to uphold the principles of justice, security, and human dignity while maintaining discipline and order within the correctional institutions. The prison service manages 12 prisons distributed across the country. Madam Speaker, the current situation in the penal institutions is challenging, with several issues affecting the well-being of the inmates and the effectiveness of the correctional system. One of the main challenges relate to security and issues such as violence, gang-related activities, and contraband of smuggling, of which pose really constant threats. During the existing security measures in place, despite of them, in our prisons, prohibited articles are still found in prison premises. They are introduced through different ways and means, including by pelting and even by drones, Madam Speaker. The prison officers regularly carry out search operations on detainees suspected to carry these prohibited articles. Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the Commissioner of Prisons that in order to enhance security of our prisons, he decided to carry out searches in all prisons. Consequently, the Prison Security Squad and the Correctional Emergency Response Team conducted a search at Beaubassin Prison on the 18th of May of this year. During that exercise, 47 cannabis parcels and SIM cards were seized. On the 12th, 14th, and 16th of July 2025, searches were carried out at 2 residential units and worship places at Melrose Prison. 33 mobile phones, battery chargers, and power banks were subsequently seized. On the 17th of July 2025, one superintendent of prisons was mandated to effect special searches at 5 residential units at Melrose Prison, namely Ebony, Talipo, Payanqueux, Kestrel, and Alamanda. At 8:55 a.m., the superintendent entered Ebony unit, which houses 124 detainees. Some detainees were collaborating in the search operation, whilst ringleaders were preventing them from collaborating with the prison officers and held them as hostage at one point. This situation led to a fight among detainees, I'm informed. At 8:57, the Commissioner of Prisons contacted the Commissioner of Police and informed him that he was anticipating a mutiny and asked for reinforcement to back up the prison officers. Very often, the mere presence of SMF officers serve as a deterrent. Simultaneously, the Commissioner of Prisons asked the Deputy Commissioner to proceed to Melrose to supervise the operation. The Correctional Emergency Response Team of Beaubassin were also requested to report to Melrose Prison. Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the Commissioner of Police that following the request of the Commissioner of Prisons, a specialized team from the Groupe Intervention de la Police Mauricienne, GIPM, comprising 1 Inspector of Police, 3 police sergeants, 7 police constables, together with a section of the Special Mobile Force, comprising of 1 Inspector of Police, 2 police sergeants, and 12 police constables, were deployed to provide tactical support to the prison's Correctional Emergency Response Team. Throughout the operation, 5 prison units and their corresponding yard areas underwent comprehensive searches by the CERT prison officers. They recovered various prohibited articles, including miniature mobile phones and 1 pen drive and 1 SIM card. It is to be noted that SMF personnel support the CERT personnel to bring prisoners to order. 2 federal streamers were used to keep the prisoners at bay. I'm also informed that 7 relatives reported alleged cases of brutality against the incarcerated family members and have formally requested the police for police inquiry into the matter. I'm informed by the Commissioner of Prisons that minimum force was used during the search. We must not detract from the fact that the vast majority of prison officers have remained steadfastly loyal to the prison services and have continued to show a remarkable degree of professionalism in the discharge of their function. After the operation, I'm informed, all the detainees were medically assessed by the prison health service officers at the medical unit of the Melrose prison, and necessary treatment were provided to 9 of them who were complaining of pain. The medical staff was reinforced by additional prison health service officers during that period. I'm also informed, Madam Speaker, that one of the detainees was identified with an injury on his neck. He was attended by the prison medical officer who treated him and advised admission to the hospital ward of the Melrose prison, which he declined. Madam Speaker, I would also like to remind the House that it was under my government in 2012 that within the National Human Rights Commission, the following divisions were set up: the Human Rights Division, the Police Complaints Division, and the National Preventive Mechanism Division. The National Preventive Mechanism Division was in line with the obligations of Mauritius under the optional protocol of the Convention Against Torture and other cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment are the signatory state of the protocol. Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the chairperson of the National Human Rights Commission that on Friday, the 18th of July, the National Preventive Mechanism Division of the NHRC received a complaint from the father of a detainee at Melrose Prison to the effect that his son had been the victim of brutality at the hands of prison officers. I'm further informed that the Commission met on Saturday, the 19th of July, and ordered an immediate inquiry to be undertaken by the National Preventive Mechanism Division. You will also note, Madam Speaker, that Section 7 of the Mauritius Constitution prohibits any act of torture or inhuman or degrading treatment. The National Human Rights Commission is vested with powers under the Protection of Human Rights Act to conduct a full-fledged inquiry where violation of Section 7 has occurred. The ongoing investigation will examine inter alia, 1, the underlying causes of the disturbances inside Melrose prison, 2, the manner in which the disturbances were handled by the prison authorities, and 3, the measures that may be taken to avoid such disturbances. On Monday, the 21st of July of this year, yesterday, the Commission received complaints from family members of detainees which would be taken on board for the purpose of the inquiry. Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that no preliminary report has yet been received from the National Human Rights Commission as the inquiry has just started. A final report of its observations and recommendations is awaited, and once received, will be examined thoroughly and implemented. I also wish to inform the House that in line with our policy of transparency and accountability, I intend to make that report public. Madam Speaker, let me reiterate this government's deep-rooted commitment to promote full adherence to the principles of human rights underpinning the social fabrics of our society. When it comes to preservation of human dignity and upholding of human rights, we are guided by a philosophy of no compromise, and government will see to it that any behavior contrary to that philosophy will not be tolerated.
Thank you, Prime Minister. You have a supplementary.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. I thank the Honourable Prime Minister for his reply, and I believe we all agree that a mutiny occurred in that high security prison on that day. And in light of this development, and in view that there were interventions of different sections of the police force and prison forces on that day, he gave details, but I want to know how many police officers intervened and how many prison officers intervened during that mutiny.
I think I mentioned it, but I think I did mention it, but let me say, I have to give you the exact details. The special teams of the JPM were comprised of 1 inspector of police, 3 police sergeants, 7 police constables, together with a section of the SMF comprising of 1 inspector of police, 2 police sergeants, and 12 police constables, which were deployed there.
Yes.
Thank you.
Second.
Yeah, thank you, Honourable Prime Minister. But Prime Minister, can you inform the House whether the intervention was also related to drug trafficking in the prison premises, and if yes, whether there has been any seizure of drugs? I understand there was seizure of mobile phones or other unauthorized objects.
As I explained, Madam Speaker, the Commissioner of Prisons decided that because there were lots of objects that were, as I said, thrown by pellets or even use of drones, he wanted to have to carry out searches in all prisons. First of all, he carried out a search at Bobassin prison, and during that exercise, I explained 47 cannabis parcels and SIM cards were seized. Then there were searches at Melrose prison. 23 mobile phones, battery chargers, and power banks were subsequently seized.
May I ask the Honourable Prime Minister whether he is aware of 2 separate and contradictory statements that were made by the Commissioner to the media in the aftermath of these incidents? 2 contradictory statements?
I've seen it in the press, but this is being inquired into.
Yes. Fourth, your friend has asked also. Yeah. But you,
May I ask the Honorable Prime Minister, were there any inmates who were injured, were transferred to a public hospital? And if yes, whether they were examined by independent medical professionals?
They were examined by the medical doctor there. He treated them and then he advised that they be transferred, but that prisoner refused.
one prisoner. Yes, fifth.
Yes. I believe the Honorable Prime Minister is aware that one Mrs. Toria Prayag was reported to have visited that high security premises, and it was stated that she had no permission from the Human Rights Commission. Is the Honorable Prime Minister able to confirm that?
In fact, I did inquire. She did go there on her own. I think it was in good faith. She's a former journalist. She decided to go there and to look for herself what has happened, and she has briefed the commission on what she observed.
I do understand, Honorable Prime Minister, that the person was there, she wanted to help. But if you refer to the Reform Institution Act of 1988, it is clearly stated who can enter the prison premises from the Human Rights Commission.
In fact, the leader of the opposition is right. It is very strict, but she went there as I think her instinct as a former journalist, she went there and she observed, and she has been called by the chairperson of the National Human Rights Commission to explain, and she has given a report.
Can I ask the Honorable Prime Minister what immediate measures will be put in place by the authorities to prevent such incidents in the future, and also, as he stated, to ensure that the fundamental rights of detainees are respected within our correctional system, Madam Speaker?
We are taking the measures as I mentioned. In fact, this is not the first time. In 2020 also there was a mutiny there, and so it's not the first time. The same sort of things with the SMF and all this were there. But we will wait for the report, and then we will, but we are taking steps at the moment, but we'll have to wait for the report.
Yes.
Yes. Can the Honorable Prime Minister confirm now whether the families of the injured detainees have been fully briefed of the situation of the detainees by the prison authorities?
I know they've met the members of the National Human Rights Commission, and they must have been briefed. They have made complaints, and the National Human Rights Commission is looking into those complaints.
You have one last? Yes. Oh, okay, then you do your last. Okay.
The first question. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in light of the fact that Ms. Prayag went there, and I think it's commendable that she did, is the Prime Minister prepared to review the legislation so as to allow spontaneous visits to ensure that we hear both sides of the story, which we are hearing now? One side from the Commissioner of Prison, one side from Madame Prayag. Is he prepared to review that aspect of the law?
I don't know whether it's wise to review it, Madam Speaker. The National Human Rights Commission have the authority to go there. So I think that would be the better. Otherwise, you'll have hundreds of people wanting to, you can see what chaos might happen.
But in this case, if I understand well, because it's one of my favorite subjects, she is a member of the National Human Rights Commission. She's not just a journalist.
Yes. The second question, thank you, Madam Speaker, is to ask the Prime Minister, in light of the fact that there are two sides of the story, and the Prime Minister has rightly referred to previous incidents, which has led, in fact, to no actions being taken, will the Prime Minister, can the Prime Minister confirm whether the police has already intervened to secure any CCTV evidence and any logbook, etc., from the prison so as to contain the evidence?
One of the first questions I asked, I want to make sure that, unlike what happened with the previous government, don't come and tell me the cameras were not working or switched off. In fact, the Commissioner of Prisons has secured all the cameras which were working. There are 550 cameras in all. I think
Yes, Leader of the Opposition.
in all, I'm saying. But all the cameras have been secured, and the National Human Rights Commission will be able to visualize the films.
Yes,
Yes.
thank you, Madam Speaker. My last question was on that subject, but I'll have another question. With regard to the inquiry which has started, can the Honourable Prime Minister state to the House what safeguards are in place to ensure that these inquiries are done in full transparency and accountability?
The National Human Rights Commission are doing the inquiry. I will have let them do the inquiry. The people we have put there, which are very independent, we'll see what happens. The former DPP is the head of the National Human Rights Commission, so I expect I will get a proper report.
Thank you, everybody. Now questions addressed to...
Et voilà donc pour cette PNQ de Joe Lejonga, PNQ leader de l'opposition qui tient accès lors d'un incident qui finit arrivé jeudi dernier à la prison de haute sécurité de Melrose. Joe Lejonga qui finit questionne Premier ministre Navin Ramgoolam. Les Tianvi connaît si commissaire prison ou commissaire police fin ouvert l'enquête qui nature de ce ban incident-là. Nombre prisonniers, d'officiers de police et de gardes de prison qui finissent blessés. Joe Lejonga fin aussi ou les connaît si National Human Rights Commission fin enquêter et si Navin Ramgoolam fin gagne un rapport préliminaire ou final de l'institution. Alors Navin Ramgoolam fin commence par dire que respect droit humain est important dans toute société et sa gouvernement là pas pour permettre qu'il viole droit humain. Il y a 12 prisons à Maurice, il fin lister ben problème qu'il y a dans prison et il dit qu'il y a une opération de fouille qui fait et le 18 mai finit une fouille qui finit faire dans prison de Beaubassin côté 47 parcelles de cannabis finit saisi entre autres finit une fouille également à Melrose le 16 et 17 côté finit un téléphone qui finit saisi et le 17 juillet il peut dire qui finit encore une fois l'opération de fouille qui finit faire dans 5 residential units, c'est-à-dire qui finit ban prisonniers qui finit faire l'opposition, c'est qui finit amène confrontation entre prisonniers les dire. Et il dit que le commissaire des prisons informe le commissaire police qu'il est typé appréhende une mutinerie. Il dit qu'il par la suite finit une équipe de GIPM, de SMF qui est sur place, donc qui est déployée sur place. Finit par la suite une allégation de brutalité et 9 prisonniers finissent gagner traitement. Il dit qu'il y a un parent qui porte plainte auprès de National Human Rights Commission. Il dit que National Human Rights Commission peut enquêter et donc peut enquêter pour être donc il y a une mesure qui vise à prendre. Il dit qu'à ce stade pas fini n'a aucun rapport préliminaire et une fois que ce rapport là est prêt il pourra rendre ça public. Patrick Hilbert donc Premier ministre dit aussi qu'il n'est pas pour faire aucun compromis en ce qui concerne respect droit humain.
Donc Priscilla, ça fait aussi une très courte PNQ, donc à peu près 20 minutes. Donc le leader de l'opposition pas fini, c'est vite 10 minutes qui tient encore à sa disposition. Donc au centre de la PNQ, comme on vient de dire Priscilla, c'est ce qui s'est passé le 17 juillet à la prison de Melrose. Donc le Premier ministre vient de dire qu'il finit la saisie de 33 téléphones mobiles, battery chargers et powerbanks. Donc, il finit de dire aussi qu'il ne peut pas faire aucun compromis sur la dignité humaine. Donc, Joe Lejonga finit de dire dans sa question supplémentaire que voilà, nous tout d'accord qu'il finit une mutinerie à la prison. Donc, il finit de demander aussi un détail sur les différentes sections de la police et de la prison qui finit intervenir. Donc, à sa question-là, le Premier ministre finit de dire qu'il finit un inspecteur, 3 sergents, 7 constables de la GIPN qui est sur place. Un inspecteur, 2 sergents et 12 constables de la SMF qui est aussi sur place. Donc, les fins dire aussi qui finina un usage modéré de la force. Donc, aussi par rapport à ce qui finina la drogue qui finit découvert ce jour-là. Donc, le Premier ministre finit dire qu'il finina la drogue ce jour-là dans la prison de Melrose. Il finit aussi que les gens finissent de relever qu'il y a une déclaration contradictoire de Dave Djekou, donc le commissaire des prisons, dans la presse. Donc à sa question-là, le Premier ministre finit de dire qu'il est dans la presse et donc c'est l'enquête pénale, l'enquête là.
Alors, finina, une question additionnelle, on peut dire, Patrick, de Joe Lejonga, notamment la présence de Touria Parayak, membre de la commission, qui tient joindre ma famille donc devant la prison de Melrose samedi. Donc il dit qu'il finit là-bas sans permission, il finit là-bas pour lui-même.
Oui, donc il finit dire qu'il est là-bas in good faith. Donc ce sont ces mots exacts. Donc après, donc le président de la National Human Rights Commission finit de mon explication. Donc elle a soumet un rapport donc au président de la National Human Rights Commission. Dit aussi que les gens finissent aussi demander est-ce qu'il y a réforme la loi pour permettre Bandimoun entrer et sortir dans la prison. Donc David Rangola dit qu'il a totalement raison. C'est totalement vrai qu'il bien revoir cet aspect de la loi pour guetter qui sont là qui est capable d'entrer dans la prison parce que c'est quand même ça fait extrêmement sensible. Donc le film dit aussi que c'est pas la première fois qu'il finit un incident de ce genre. Donc en 2020 déjà finit quelque chose, une mutinerie, un incident pareil. Donc à ce niveau-là, Adrien Duval finit dire effectivement que dans le passé finit déjà cet incident-là, mais qui pas fait non par rapport à ça. Donc il peut demander qui mesure peut prendre pour éviter une telle situation dans le futur.
Adrien Duval donc qui pose la question concernant une caméra de surveillance.
Donc c'est une des premières choses que le Premier ministre finit de demander, de secure une caméra, il dit qu'on ne sait pas dire moi qu'il y a une caméra qui est en panne ou que le système panne fin fonctionner. Donc il y a 550 caméras en tout. Donc toutes les caméras, toutes les images fin secured. Donc c'est la National Human Rights Commission qui pourra voir toutes ces images et pourra faire son rapport par rapport à tout ça.
Oui, alors sinon en ce moment même, la Prime Minister's Question Time peut démarrer. Premier ministre qui a attendu plusieurs dossiers, notamment Chagos, dépréciation roupie face au dollar, disponibilité de devises au marché local, salaire de haut responsable de la Banque de Maurice. Et les autres sujets, c'est nouveaux droits de douane qui viendront en vigueur depuis le 1er juillet. 21 questions au total, Patrick, adressées au Premier ministre lors de sa Prime Minister's Question Time. Là.
La chute de la roupie face au dollar inquiète, donc le député Manoj Siburn demandera si cette baisse entre octobre 2014 et décembre 2024 provoque une hausse de prix et si des erreurs de gestion sont responsables. Autre sujet d'actualité, c'est le manque de dollars sur le marché local. Donc Adrien Duval, le whip de l'opposition, pour envie de connaître si man volume échanger les mesures prévues pour faire face à une éventuelle crise, quelles sont-elles? Une autre question du député portera aussi sur la rémunération du gouverneur et des vice-gouverneurs de la Banque de Maurice. Le député demande aussi des détails sur leur salaire et avantages qu'ils peuvent percevoir dans la fonction de leur responsabilité. Deux interpellations concernent le véhicule importé. Donc, le député Ludovic Kazen pose une question par rapport à une file d'attente au bureau du registraire général. Il demandait aussi une mesure urgente pour prévoir pour améliorer la situation. Le député travailliste Raviraj Bichouk souhaite des clarifications sur le nouveau droit de douane en vigueur depuis le 1er juillet. Et le dossier Chagos, comme on vient de dire, sera aussi sur la table. Donc Francisco François, député de Rodrigue, pour demander une information sur les dernières discussions qui finissent à Londres et leurs répercussions possibles sur les droits des Chagossiens.
Alors également à l'agenda, le Criminal Appeal and Criminal Review Bill. Tout la Cour pour viser désormais, donc selon la loi là, ce projet de loi là informe Njimoun qui finit condamné de ce droit à faire appel et que aussi donc la sentence vise prononcée dans un délai maximum de 28 jours après la condamnation. Pour donc un amendement à plusieurs lois pour rendre une procédure d'appel en matière pénale plus claire, plus simple et uniforme pour tout le monde. Patrick, une décision nous rappelle qui finit approuvée par le Conseil des ministres.
Oui, le projet de loi concerne d'abord un appel devant la Court of Criminal Appeal contre les décisions finales de la Cour suprême en matière pénale. Ensuite, les appels devant la Cour suprême contre les jugements d'autres tribunaux comme la District Court, la Intermediate Court ou la Criminal Division de la Children's Court. Aujourd'hui, ces règles sont dispersées dans différentes lois, ce qui complique leur application, Priscilla. Donc, le Criminal Appeal and Criminal Review Bill regroupe toutes ces procédures dans un seul texte. Le gouvernement peut aussi supprimer le Criminal Appeal and Criminal Appeal Rules de 1954. Par ailleurs, plusieurs autres textes là pour modifier, notamment la Children's Court Act de 2020, la Courts Act, les textes relatifs aux cours de district et intermédiaires, ainsi que la loi sur la protection des droits de l'homme. Le Criminal Procedure Act sera également amendé et imposera notamment aux tribunaux de prononcer une peine dans un délai maximum de 28 jours après la condamnation. Donc il s'agit vraiment de simplifier le fonctionnement de la Cour.
Autant donc pour cette séance de la PNQ et la PMQT qui a lieu en ce moment même. Vous êtes capable de suivre ça sur nos pages Facebook défimedia.info. Merci Patrick Hilbert.
Merci à vous Priscilla.
Merci à toute l'équipe technique, Joe Kupusami et donc pour les images, notre collègue Antish Bawan. À 13h, pour capable suivre de larges extraits de cette PNQ et également la PMQT avec Dushila Mansingh. À très bientôt.